Hi there, and welcome back to the video tutorials on C++. Now that you know a little bit about what programs are and what programming means, let's get familiar with how C++ works. In the olden days, basically the way you would program a computer is pretty much you would just type in a command like we showed before, do something, and the computer would do that, and then you type in something else and the computer does that. This is called a interpreted programming language, meaning you type a command and that command gets executed right away, right after you type it. C++ doesn't exactly work that way. In C++, you're working with a lot of files. You're going to be typing up a whole bunch of your code, and you might type up one whole file with a whole bunch of stuff, and then you're gonna make another file with more stuff, and you're gonna be working with a lot of files, and you're gonna be saving these files. So now let's imagine that we already typed up a few files with a whole bunch of C++ code. Now what we need to do is to turn these files into one single file, which is going to be our program. So the way it works is like this. A program usually, if you're on Microsoft Windows, a program usually is a file which ends with the extension .exe. Like if you have whatever calculator, then the program may be calculator .exe. If you're on Macintosh, I'm not sure exactly what the extension on Mac is, but basically it's a file which when you click on it basically with your mouse, what happens is the program starts, and that is your program. One file which finishes with .exe, and that is your program. So the way C++ works is you type up a whole bunch of different files with all of your code, and then you need to somehow combine them all together to make one file which is your actual final program. The way this is done is using a program which ironically has been programmed by programmers. This special program is called a compiler. A compiler does this type of magic of taking all of your files and turning them into a .exe file, which is the actual program. So the very first thing to talk about if you're thinking about programming in C++ is about getting yourself a compiler which we're going to use to compile all of our code that we typed up and turn that into the actual program. Years ago, and many programmers still do that, a compiler would be a small little program which you would open up, and you would have to type in a whole bunch of stuff. You would have to explain the compiler exactly how to find which files where and gather all of them together and make the program out of it. That was a long time ago. Nowadays you can find a compiler program which is a lot more user-friendly and looks a lot nicer, and there are even free such compilers on the internet which you can go ahead and download and start using right away. There are more professional ones which might cost a lot of money. I myself am using the compiler which is called the Microsoft Visual C++ compiler because I'm using Microsoft Windows. You can see right over here the Microsoft Visual C++ compiler program. What we have over here is this is a very nice program. You know, it doesn't look so scary like in the olden days when you used to have to just figure it out all by yourself. Over here is a nice program which we'll use to make other programs in C++. So if you're using Microsoft Windows, I'd suggest you head over to this website, microsoft.com/express/VC, and pick up a copy of the free Microsoft Visual Studio Express edition, and go ahead and download it and install it, and you'll be all hooked up with a very nice compiler which has a very nice interface and takes care of a lot of headaches for you if you would have to do everything manually. If you run some other operating system like Macintosh or Linux, then go look it up on Google or some other website exactly what type of compiler suits your needs, and once you're ready with that and you download it and install it, you can move on to the next part of our tutorials.